So you see it says minor pentatonics, minor pents in G major. All right, cool. So this is kind of what we went over before. You can see in G major, we can do A minor, B minor, or E minor, right? That would be the 2, 3, and 6, right? Here's our G major scale, 1, then A minor is a 2, B minor is a 3, then we have C and D are the 4 and 5, and then E is the 6, right? All right. So with G major as our 1 chord, those are the 3 minor pentatonics we can play. And I put a little Roman numeral 1 over the A minor. You see that? That's not to say that the A minor is the 1. Obviously, the G is the 1. But what it means is this collection of chords, or minor pentatonics, is supposing that G major 7 is the 1. That's what that means. Okay? All right, so if you look below that, there's the A minor 7, right? Now, if that is the 2, and you can see the little Roman numeral 2 there, if we look at that A minor 7 as the 2, then we can play A minor, B minor, and E minor, just like we did before. See how that works? Because A minor would be the 2, right? So as long as we look at it as the 2, you would play from the 2, 3, and 6. And you would always play from the 2, 3, and 6, but with A minor being the 2, it's the same as G major being the 1. And so we can play the same minor pentatonics. If you look down below that, you have D7. Now, there's only one 7th chord, or dominant 7th chord, right, in the harmonized scale, and it's the 5 chord. So if we look at it as the 5th, then obviously we can play A minor, B minor, and E minor. You see what I mean? How it's the same. A minor, B minor, and E minor pentatonics fit over that harmonized scale, regardless of what chord we're playing in that from that harmonized scale. However, it is it's all within the same key. Now, some of the notes, they're not all equal. You find some scales, just like we talked about last time, some of the scales will be a little bit less resolved than other ones. And I put little stars to indicate which ones those were. But anyway, if we were to look at those out of context, so G major 7, if we don't consider it a 1 chord, there's only one other possibility that we could consider it to be. What would that be? Well, in the harmonized scale, there are 2 major 7 chords. Exactly. So if we look at G major 7 as though it were a 4 chord, that would give us three possibilities as well. What's that? Okay, so if G major 7 were a 4 chord, that would mean, like, what key would be in? What is G the 4 of? That's right. So if we're in the key of D, we would be playing a minor pentatonic from the 2, 3, and 6, just like we did when G was the 1, but now we're in D. So what is the 2, 3, and 6 in the key of D? No worries. Yep. F sharp, yeah, exactly. E minor, F sharp minor, and B minor. Now, what we notice here is that the E minor and B minor are kind of redundant, aren't they? I mean, if we look at the G major as a 1 chord or a 4 chord, we're going to have E minor and B minor. See what I mean? So we're only getting one more and one less also because we don't have an A minor. If we were in the key of D and we're playing over a G major 7 chord, we would not have an A minor to play. We would have an F sharp minor instead. However, what you can do is you can combine all these possibilities. So a major 7 chord, when you're improvising over it, can be treated as a 1 chord or a 4 chord, whichever you want, whether or not it is the 1 or the 4. Okay? Now, so basically what you do is you're looking at the major 7 chord as an island. You know, it's you can take it, think of it, and play on it out of context from the rest of the song. Yeah, you're in the key of G major 7 when you see it, you know, at that time. I mean, the way you think of it, it could be in the key of G major, it could be in the key of D major, but what you do when you play is you kind of assertively state it's in the key of G major 7. And if it how do I say this? You can alternate between keys, just like you might alternate, you know, it's like switching dimensions or something. Because yeah, the two scales, Lydian and Iodian, have the same chord tones. So you're not changing anything integral about the chord, whether you look at it as a 1 or 4. You're not changing any chord tones. 1 and 4 are the same, except in the extensions. When you look at the scale tones, then there's only one difference anyway, and it's the 4 or sharp 4, depending if you're Ionian. Cool? All right, so now what you've noticed is we have 4 minor pentatonics that we can play over G major 7. We have A minor, B minor, E minor, and F sharp minor. Okay, now if we look at that as Roman numerals so that we're not stuck in the key of G, we can do this in any key. A minor is the 2, B minor is the 3, E minor is the 4, and F sharp would be the 7, wouldn't it? So those would be the places that we could start a minor pentatonic from over a major 7 chord. So what I did down below, you'll notice on the PDF, see I have major 7, minor 7, dominant 7, half diminished. Down below at the bottom of the page. Okay, so in F major 7, what I did there to simplify things so that we don't have 6 different minor pentatonics, 2 of which are redundant, and so they're not in letter form, but they're in Roman numeral form. That way we can, you know, apply it over any chord. Is that when you have a major 7 chord and you want to use it minor pentatonics, let's say, you can start from the 2, the 3, the 6, and the 7. All right? So just to give you an example, in the key of G here, you can hear that okay? Okay, nice. You would have A minor pentatonic. You'd have B minor pentatonic. You'd have E minor pentatonic. As you hear, it shares some notes. And you would have F sharp minor pentatonic. Or here if you want it. Cool? All right. Now, I'd recommend practicing exactly. But like last time we talked about, some notes will be tense, and the most tense note will be the 4. And that's why if you notice at the top on that G major 7, I have the little star next to A minor from the 2. The 2 is the one that has the most tension there. So if you did play A minor pentatonic, like here's your G, then you slide up to A minor. If you played this note, it'd behoove you to slide down to a third, or that note, sorry, to slide down like this. See that? Or down here to slide down to that one. That's all over that chord. Yeah, exactly. No, the major third, because it's a major 7 chord. Yeah, so here's your G major. And our pentatonic scale would be inside, outside. Not really outside, but that's the 4, so it's really tense. So you'd want to do something like that, sliding down to the third. Yeah, exactly. Another thing you could do is you could stay within that, so that leaves the minor pentatonic scale for a moment. Another thing you could do is you could move up to the 5th. Like that note would be inside. You hear that note's inside. Inside meaning like it sounds inside the box. Like it sounds like a chord tone. It is a chord tone. It's the 5th of the chord. The 4th sounds tense because it clashes with the 3rd. And so the way we can resolve that is we play the 4 and slide to the 3rd, or we play the 4 and slide to the 5th, or hammer on or pull off or whatever. It doesn't have to be a slide, but you know what I mean. It's like we play the tense note, and the tense note is okay so long as it resolves, basically. Exactly, yeah. Now, with that in mind, well, 4 is the scale tone. So if you go up to the next note or down to the previous note, you're going to be on a chord tone. Some scale tones are fine to resolve on, like a 9. But anyway, so if you were to practice this over G, you might want to set like a loop, record something like, just like 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Something like that. That was dominant. You could even find jams on YouTube. You could even find jams on YouTube where you just like in the key of G or whatever, and then or even just a drum thing, but you want some kind of root in there. Then when you improvise, you could do it like really timidly if you want, where you kind of play like thinking A minor pentatonic, and I'm thinking A minor pentatonic. Now I'm avoiding this note because it's super tense over that. Now when I do play it, I might go, to the 5th or down. That was down to the 3rd. So again, it'd be like if I'm playing the pentatonic scale, hear that in your ear. See what I mean? And then you can do is you play that way, and you can jam and just with your A minor pentatonic and feel it out, get to know what works and what doesn't. And then you do the same thing in B minor, where you have, here's your root, your chord, and you'd be playing B minor. Yeah, exactly. G major 7. And then playing the B minor pentatonic. Cool? And there's your G. If you wanted to resolve every now and then, like if I were doing A minor, I might resolve to the G. I do the same thing here. Like here's your G. But the G's not in that pentatonic scale. You have your 3rd, your 5th, your 6th, and your major 7. So then maybe every once in a while you play the G if you want. So it'd be like... Well, it's something I got in the habit of doing because I don't play with other people very much. And if I never hear the root, I mean, if I never hear the root of the chord or enough chord tones, it sounds more elusive, you know? And I like it to really resolve. And if somebody else, if you're playing with a band and a piano player plays a G major 7 chord and you just play a 3rd, then that's perfectly fine. But I get the tendency, if I'm hearing this, you know, it's like my ear lost G already. Like I don't feel like I'm in G anymore. I feel like I'm in B minor, right? So then I have to come up and be like, hear the chord, you know? I have to, so if I play like, maybe that's why I would do something like triads. Then I came down here to the minor pentatonic. And then I played the G to kind of resolve. Then I go back into B minor pentatonic. Maybe to A minor, sliding down to the 3rd, up to B minor, and then the G. B minor, G note. B minor, G note. B minor, G. G. 6, G, 7, and then G. Then maybe to A minor. Then the 4th down to the 3rd. And that is the G. The G is in the A minor pentatonic. So I play that again. Maybe from A minor up to B minor. And then G. So A minor, B minor, G note. Octaves. Major 7, 5th, thinking my triad, then B minor, G note. Cool, so, oh, that's weird. Yep, I can see it. All right, so then you got your E minor pentatonic. And here's your G note. And then your E minor pentatonic. So you can see that G minor, sorry, the E minor pentatonic has the G note in it, right? So really, when I'm switching between a B minor pentatonic and an E minor pentatonic, I'm really only changing one note. And that note is adding the G. So every time I play that G note, I'm jumping into the E minor pentatonic. So I have the B minor pentatonic. If I just played, for example, here's the G, and I play B minor, and then E minor, B minor. Exactly. So then you can just mix them up. You mix. Just remember this: 2, 3, 6. Those are the minor chords in the harmonized scale, right? The 2 chord, 3 chord, and 6 chord. And then, of course, we have the additional one. You're breaking up pretty bad. What'd you say? Oh, you there? I can hear you now. So yeah, 2, 3, and 6. Those are the diatonic, pentatonic options. Diatonically within the key center, there are 3 minor chords, and that's the 2, 3, and 6 chord. And so from those chords, you can play your minor pentatonic scale. All right. Minor pentatonic over minor chords. Yeah. And then if we change our perspective on that major 7 chord, then we have we look at it as a 4 chord, and that gives us the 7th as a place where we can start our minor pentatonic. So whenever you have G major, you can go down 1 fret and play minor pentatonic. And you're playing Lydian, basically. You're playing the major 7, the 9, the 3rd, the sharp 11, and the 6. Cool? Yeah. Remember, this is how it came about. We look at it as a 1 chord. Now, if we look at it as a 1 chord, there are only 3 options. The 2, 3, and 6, right? Now, if we look at it as the 4 chord, there are only 3 options, which is the 2, 3, and 6. Nothing has changed. When we look at those 3 options, though, with G major as the 1 chord, 2, 3, and 6 are A minor, B minor, and E minor. With G major as the 4 chord, there's F sharp minor, E minor, and B minor. Now, E minor and B minor are in both of those. So if we forget about those and just think about F sharp minor, we can include that. And whether G major 7 is a 1 chord or a 4 chord, we can treat it as improvisers like as though it encompasses both of those at the same time. Yeah, exactly. And that's, if you look below, that's exactly the process here. Now, A minor has a lot of options because there are 3 minor 7 chords. When we did G major 7, there were only 2 major 7 chords, right? There's the 1 and the 4. That's the only major 7 chords in the harmonized scale. And so we only came up with 2 different collections, of 2, 3, and 6 chords, looking at it as a 1 chord and looking at it as a 4 chord. Now with A minor, if we look at A minor as a 2 chord, and you see on the PDF, that gives us A minor, B minor, and E minor, right? Just like G major as the 1, because A minor and G major they're related that way. Now, if we look at A minor as the 3 chord, what possibilities does that give us? I mean, it's written down here, but if you want to figure it out, that might be wise to, even though the answer is written down, it might be wise to look at and see how it works under your hands. Exactly, yeah. All right, so here's our A minor chord. Okay, so over that chord, obviously, we can play A minor. All right, we can play E minor. Oh, sorry, if we're looking at it as a 3 chord, we can play D minor. And this note right now, over this chord, that one is going to be a little tense, but it sounds really dark, right? That is the flat 6th, which is Aeolian, right? So the 6, as we remember in minor chords, is what some people call the avoid note. But you don't really have to avoid it. You just have to know that it's really demanding. Like when you play a 6, the 6 is like it's I don't know, it's it steals the show at the party. If you know what I mean, like somebody who shows up at the party and all the attention's on them now. So depending on how you do it or when you do it, he's either the cool guy at the party or the obnoxious drunk that has to be removed and apologize that he was invited. You know? So anyway, yeah, or what kind of party it is, you know? That obnoxious guy might be the life of the right party. And he'll be the nightmare of the wrong one. Oh, maybe, but here, not so much style of music as much as maybe something like this. We're looking at it as a 3 chord, right? Well, if it actually is the 3 chord, he would fit into that party. If it's actually the 2 chord, he's kind of does. It's like he knows somebody, maybe he has a good friend there, but it's not his scene. You know what I mean? He got invited by a friend of the guy who got invited or something. That's what this is. It's like if the key center is the host of the party, and he invites people, and when he invites people, he says, "Bring your friends." All right. So the 3 options that fit within the key are the actual people that were invited, and the extra ones that, if we were to look at it at a different perspective, like instead of looking at it as a 2, we look at it as a 3 or 6, or however we rearrange that order and those options. All those extra ones that don't actually fit within the key, but are from a changed perspective, those are the people who are invited by the people who are invited. Those are the friends of the people you invited who also came. Yeah, like they all work because they're all related to a minor chord in some way. It's not like totally unrelated. It's a different minor chord that they're coming from. Does that make sense? Yeah, exactly. And so it works, but whether or not one of these is more tense depends on um, that context. Just for example, do you see how on the A minor 7 I have the little star above B minor 7? All right. Exactly. If you look at it as a 2 chord, you get that B minor 7. Now, if A minor were the 3 chord, how would that B minor 7 sound over A minor, the 3 chord? It'd be pretty wild because if A minor is a 3 chord, that means that B flat would be the 4 chord and C would be the 5 chord, meaning that B minor, would be wild. It'd be the 4. I'm trying not to think in the context of A minor. What is it? It's a 3 chord, so an F. Okay, yeah, it would be in F it would be the sharp 4, and it would be the 6, and then it would be the major 7 over the F chord, and then it would be the 9 and the 3rd and the 5th. So it would work, but you could see where it'd be a lot more intense. But it all works. So basically, what I would recommend is you do the same thing. Oh, actually, before I even go on to that, let me finish here. We have the 6 chord, and the 6 chord gives us D minor, E minor, and A minor, right? So the only like, what do we got here? D minor was already in the 3 chord, E minor was in the 1 chord, and so if we look at the 6 chord, we don't get any new options, do we? Let me look at this. If this were a 6 chord, would be in the key of C. D minor, E minor, A minor. Yeah. So down below by minor 7 chord, I put where we can play minor pentatonic from, right? Looking at it as an A minor 7 chord that's out of context with the key center, but it's just a floating or static A minor 7 chord or minor 7 chord of any kind. We could play it from the root, the 2, the 5. Those would be the more inside sounding ones. And then we could play it from the flat 7, the flat 7. Exactly. Because that's the G minor. If we're playing A and we looked as a 3 chord, that would mean that G is the 2 chord and we could play G minor, right? And that's starting from the flat 7 of the A, right? Make sense? You there? Oh, hey, can you? All right, cool. So do you see how that works? Down at the bottom, it shows you where in relation to that chord you can start a minor pentatonic. That makes it easier to find. You don't have to think 2, 3, and 6 in the key. You think of how it is actually relates to the chord, which would be root, 2, and 5. In A minor, you could play minor pentatonic from the root, from the 2, and from the 5. Those would be really inside sounding ones. The B minor would be less inside than the other two. So it'd be like more inside option. Well, that's not a 6, that's a 4. You could start a minor pentatonic from the flat 7, or which would be the G minor, right? Or from the 4, which would be the D minor. Yeah. So flat 7 sounds kind of harsh only because it has a flat 9. So you got this, and this is a note in that scale. You know, like this. But again, if you move through it, you're fine. So if you had A minor, and then you play that flat 9, that was me just hammering and pulling off like a passing tone. Yeah, and then down here, I'm in G minor to A minor to G minor, A minor, G minor, oh sorry, and A minor. I added a flat 5, which I probably shouldn't have done, but it works. And then D minor, it would be from the 5th, right? Now D minor is only tense because it has a flat 6, right? And I think wasn't there another one that we did that had a flat 6? Or maybe not. No, I don't see one. Anyway, so those two are a little bit more outside. If you played A minor, and then you went to G minor, you can hear how this would be pretty tense. It also has a flat 6, but that's not as intense. So it could work out still, though. I mean, you'd play it like this. A minor, G minor, 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 A minor. So you can kind of go out and come back in. Make sense? Yeah. Now, let's try another one. Let's go between A minor and the D minor, right? D minor was the 4, from the 4. So it'd be like A minor to D minor. Now, the notes I just played are in D minor and A minor, so you don't even hear a change. Now, if I did this, though, A minor to D minor, now you can hear something changed. A minor, D minor, A minor, D, A, D, A, D, A. And it doesn't sound as dramatic as when we go, right? I mean, it goes a little outside, but there's only one note really that sounds outside. Yeah, for sure. So now, I mean, if there's not a lot changing if you switch between the 3. A minor, D minor, G minor, A minor. And now I'm just going to rotate between them in that same order. A minor, D minor, G minor, A minor, D minor, G, A, D, G, there we go, A, D, A minor, G, A, D, G, A, D, G, A, D, G, A. Yeah, it took me a second to even get in the mojo there of just making sure I switch in time and everything. Now we've left out the 2 and the 5, right? So maybe instead of doing the root, we can do the 5 and G. How about we'll do 5 and from the flat 7. Now I could do here. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But yeah, so basically that's a way you can ease your way in. You don't try to memorize and integrate all 5 at once. You take one that's really easy and then one you want to try to integrate, and you alternate between the 2. And then you do that between a different 2, or one of the same, like the same root, and maybe like root, the 7. Then we did root, and that was a flat 7. The root, the flat 7, and the root and the 4. And then after that, you can try combining the 3, and then maybe you do just the root and the 2. And then you could try doing the root, the 2 and the 4 if you want, things like that. You just take like little bits and then combine them. It's actually... Exactly. It's the exact same concept, yeah. Now the thing is, I kind of got to go, but the dominant chord, there's only one dominant chord on the harmonized scale, right? So these other 2 options, I didn't get those from other perspectives. Like, for example, if we had, what do we have here? D7. The 2, the 5, the 2, the 3. I wrote that wrong, didn't I? Or no, I didn't. From the 2, 3, and 6 would be A minor, B minor, and E minor, just like it's been in the same key all this while. If we're looking at it from here, that'd be the 2 of the D, the 5 of the D, and the 6 of the D, because we're looking at the D as a 5 chord. So we have only those 3 options, and there's no other perspectives we can look at. But where I got these other 2 from would be if we played it from the root and bend the 3rd, or slide or hammer on like this. Right? Yeah, exactly. So it's just like... That's exactly where you hear it all the time. You hear it in blues all the time. So basically we did it from the root, but we altered one note, and that's where I got it from, was from the blues. And then another one is from the sharp 2 or flat 3rd, which is the same thing, right? So you play your 2 and you go up a fret. Now if we did this minor pentatonic, it's all the wrong notes, all the passing tones, meaning it's from the altered scale, which is what you would do if you want a lot of tension that resolves to a 1 chord. Like here's your D to G. Now under that circumstance, you could play it or actually like that. So you got your altered scale. See what I'm doing? D7. So I could play D minor with the 3rd raised to the altered scale and then resolve it. Cool?